Today's impromptu Tiny Ram is the second half of my Defenders review, due to some complications with our normally scheduled program. You're watching RAMtv. Hey Ram fans, sorry it's taken me a little later than wanted to get this up and running. I'd say I've been busy, which is true, but frankly, everyone's busy today. If you remember on last week's RAMtv, I listed my major gripes with Defenders. Maybe not all of them, but the ones that struck the hardest nerves with me while watching. However, I didn't hate the show. I really liked it, in fact, and I want to talk about the things I liked most. Firstly, what stands out to me first is something that's mostly vague, but true nonetheless. I just loved seeing my favorite characters doing what they do best, and in some cases, better than they did it before, and it really got showcased in this. I got Daredevil being an impressive and disciplined martial artist, and Luke Cage battering fools all around him with his raw strength and, unbreakableness. And Jessica Jones continues to floor people as she does similar power brawling to Cage, only in a body about 3 heads shorter and 150 pounds lighter. And it could just be my imagination, but Finn Jones' fighting choreography has improved. I hate to cop out and use the final brawl, but honestly, this final all-out brawl is probably the best example of it. Speaking of ass-kicking, one of my favorite things was Colleen Wing's refusal to sit on the side and give up. Wing has proven herself to not just be a capable fighter, but to viewers even more so than Iron Fist. She simply doesn't have glowing hands, super strength, or blind ninja powers, which could easily lead to writers pulling a Dragon Ball Z on her and making her warm the bench. Instead, she's always out there fighting, and refusing multiple times to give in to Bakudo, who for all intents and purposes could easily overpower her.
I don't need you anymore.
Getting away from the heroes a bit, Sigourney Weaver did a stellar job as the Hand's mysterious and infinitely ancient leader, at least in my opinion. Thinking hard about it, can you imagine how hard it would be to sell yourself as a character who seemingly lived, forever? Weaver's character, Alexandra Reed, pulls it off. It's not hard for me to understand how, given Weaver's level as an actress, but a good performance is a good performance. In fact, save for how boring I generally find Bakudo to be, I was happy with the jobs of every member of the Hand's leadership. I found each and every one to have their own charm and mystique. Madame Gao was always a treat, especially with how many series she's had to try and remain interesting. And Murakami was a very welcome addition. Gun to my head, though, I'd have to say the most impressive performance in relation to how short-lived he is, pun not intended, goes to Sowande, particularly for this scene.
I had been captive 3 days when they heard my soldiers approach. The fortress fell silent. The gates remained locked. The chase couldn't comprehend it, but the soldiers outside, they were following my orders. They sealed the gates, allowed no one in or out. On the 3rd day, your soldiers stand on each other. By the 4th, they'd run out of water. By the 6th, no food. I believe it was the 10th day that they knelt before me, begging to make it stop. It won't be long before your plan comes apart. Before this Kiamin becomes a throne.
Also, if you're close to me, it's no secret I really don't enjoy Jessica Jones hardly at all. No, get your labels out of here. I just don't relate especially well to someone who's constantly calling someone else an asshole, or an idiot, or an idiotic asshole, or generally just being borderline wretched to just about anyone they come across. Which made this scene particularly enjoyable for me.
You know, Lexi, you remind me of a friend of mine. His dad was a boxer who got in way over his head and got himself killed. And for a long time, my friend thought his dad abandoned him too. Till one day he learned the truth, that his dad was actually killed because he wanted to stop being a criminal. Because he wanted his son to be proud of him.
I know, you can't have a show about a hero teammate without those moments, but nonetheless, the moments where the team finally starts to understand one another and, in spite of their differences, come to care, are the moments I live for. And let's be real, we knew, or at least heavily suspected, some sappy scene where Elektra comes to her senses and loves Murdoch would end up happening. This, however, I did not anticipate, and it was the most powerful scene in the entire show, as far as I'm concerned. Defenders had some real bumpy moments, and some others that were just plain hard to swallow. But through and through, it was really well done, and brought these four worlds together in a way I found satisfying. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. But my official review is that the series was good, and far outweighed my expectations. If you haven't seen it yet, please give it a try.